everyone, today I thought it would be fun just to do this a little image. This is from Ivy in the Inky Butterfly by Johanna Basford, and I thought I would have a go with my black widows. They're quite well suited to small details like this little image here. Obviously we've got a little honey pot, and I think it's rather a fun one. I'm trying to get it central for you. There we go. We've got our spoon. Now it's interesting because honey's usually used as a special thing used for honey. I can't think of the name, it might come to me, but this definitely looks like a spoon because it's bent. Normally the honey things are straight and wooden, so I'm thinking this could be a silvery colour, so we could do that silver. We've got our honey, obviously we want a honey colour, a little bee, and our sort of container. So I thought it'd be quite fun, do lots of lovely warm colours, but maybe with a silver spoon, just to be a little bit different. I've got my Black Widow pencils because they're nice and thin, so they'll be good for these smaller details. So I think we just start with our silver spoon because it's a little bit different, and then work from there. Now the Black Widow set, the spider set, have got a spider web coloured pencil, which is quite nice. Oh, there's a dog barking, but it's quite pale. I'm thinking I want something just a tad darker. I don't really want to use the black. So my other greys are in my Cobra set, and I think, what's that one? Maybe the dim grey is a little bit darker, so we'll use that as well. So I just grabbed my sharpener, and what I think, oh, I've just broken the end off of my dim grey. That's a good start, isn't it? Just having a look in my sharpener, seeing if it's still in there, which it is. I shall have to poke it out with a pencil. I tend to use a Noris like that to just poke it through to get it out and tap it. And now it's got pencil sharpenings all over my book. It's a really good start to a video, isn't it? So you can see the reality of doesn't go perfectly. I could use the graphite pencil, of course, for the grey, but we won't. We'll get our dim grey sharpened and working. There we go. So, as I say, this is the dim grey, and we're going to use it for the darker areas of the spoon. And I'm thinking down along this edge would be darker. I'm trying to get my hand in the right angle so I don't block it too much. Maybe from above. Hopefully I won't block the light too much. I have got my lamp on, as well as the blind open this morning. The sun hasn't moved around to being over the desk yet. So I'm going to put a layer here. And then just fade it a bit. It's quite brown actually, that colour. Now silver is normally white, isn't it? So I'm going to use the spider web to just extend that up a little bit towards the edge. And like that. Now it's usually good to leave a bit of white. I haven't managed to do that very well, but never mind. I've decided I am going to go in with a bit of black as well. This is the Black Widow. The Cobra set has a black as well. If you're but I'm going to put quite a dark layer down there. Sometimes it's quite good to have a big contrast between the dark and the light part, and it makes it look more shiny. That's a bit too thick though. What do I do? I'm going to take that back a little bit. Up there I've gone a bit thick. So I'll just erase that a bit. Like that. And use the lightest grey, which is the spider web, to blend it in a bit. If we go over the top, we'll just fade it down a bit. There we go. Okay, there's the spoon part. Now I ideally wanted it a little bit whiter on that top edge, and I could add a bit of white, but I'm not going to do that at this stage anyway, because I'll only smudge it and make a big mess. Now my next plan is to do the honey itself. Now I'm trying to look at my colours. I've got a colour called Honeycomb actually in the Scorpion set. I'm just trying to get it out for you. or try it. It looks a little bit, on that end it looks quite orangey peachy colour, but it looks sort of golden yellow on this side. Let's try it. Let's just use it on this bit. Now honey tends to be quite shiny. This is a bit orangey. I suppose it depends on the honey. It can be lots of different colours, but I think I'm gonna what should I do? Yes, I need to sharpen another pencil. Perhaps I should have sharpened these all before I started. I'm gonna have a go with this Stinkbug colour, and just do some shadowy bits around the bottom like that, and just try and fade that in a bit. To fade that in, I put a lighter layer after my initial layer. Go all the way around the edges with that, and then around the bottom with these drips. And I might put a lighter yellowy colour. Just seeing what I've got. I think maybe the mustard might be good. This is the mustard from the Cobra set. And just take that colour up a bit. And it's a bit more yellow, which is, I think, looks good. I'm not taking it all the way to the top. I'm going to use a... Where's the colour I want? There it is. Lemonade. It's quite a vibrant yellow. For this bit at the top, I think it looks quite nice now. We've got a mix of colours, and I might put some white shine on it. I don't know how well it will stand out. Black Widows don't always work with white that well, but we'll see. We'll give it a try. Now, while I've got my yellows and oranges out, I'm going to do this little bee. I think he needs to be, he's very small, obviously. The black is done for us, so he's just got to worry about the yellow bits. And I'm thinking if I do a little bit of mustard on the edges of the yellow, the areas I want to be yellow, so say very small, and then do the lemonade on the central parts, hopefully. Get him looking quite bright. What I want, if I can, is to have him a little bit of white in the middle so he looks shiny, but not too much. It's quite tricky to see. I'm not sure what colour I want that label, so I'm going to just leave that for a bit. But I want his wings. I'm going to use the dim grey for the wings. I'm just going to put a little bit of colour there and there, and just fade it towards the end of the wing. And I'm going to colour that head in like that. Might be better in black. I'll leave it. Okay, now the inside of the pot here. Now I'm thinking, is it coated with honey? Probably. So I'm thinking, let's do it with those colours. So we'll start with this Stinkbug colour and do that nearer to the bottom. Quite a few layers. I know it's a little bit darker than this honey because we covered that over, but I'm thinking it's a little bit further away. Maybe it might be a little bit darker. And then we'll go over the top of it with the mustard. Okay. Hopefully it will work. It's a lovely warm colour. I really like the colour. So I hope that's working. I feel it's working. Now the pot, I thought we could do in slightly darker colours, not too dark, sort of brownish colours, just so that it's a bit different to the honey itself, so it stands out. So I'm just sharpening my browns. Now the best browns, in my opinion, in the three sets that I've got, the Scorpion, the Cobra and the Black Widow, are the ones in the Black Widow set. So I'm going to use, the Tarantula first. It's quite a dark brown. We're going to use it for marking out where we want the darker areas to be. So I'm I'm going to go at the bottom of here and just fade up. Do the same here. We might want a little bit more shadow, thinking about where these drips of honey are, but what I'm going to do is just think about the shape of the pot and the shadows for that at the minute, and then I might add more shadows later because I'm not pressing really hard. These are quite vibrant. You don't need to press really hard. I've got leeway because there'll be too thin the paper that I can use. So I'm going to go up from the bottom here, thinking that where these coils are, it'll be a little more shadowy at the bottom of them. And remembering to sort of go around the label like that. Now the label, I'm thinking where that coil is, the label might have a little crease in it. If you imagine how it might look in real, but I think that's going to be a bit too complicated and it just might end up looking very odd. So I'm going to not do that. Now each of these coils on the pot, it's like a coil pot, isn't it? If you've done made clay pots, you'll know what I mean. They would also have shadow underneath them, but I'm going to do that in a different colour. So what I'm going to do is build up the colour here within the browns, and then under here where there would also be shadow, I shall use a different colour. Hopefully it will all work out. I'm doing that one a little bit darker because I think it would be even darker under there. I'm just trying to make them fairly even between them in the depth of colour, like that. And now I'm going to use the Foxy Brown. It's getting quite short, this one. Now, Black Widows, I know people get a little bit worried that you can't order open stock of Black Widows, and I gather there's 133 Black Widow pencils now that you can get, but you can only get them in sets. But I did hear a rumour, I say a rumour, I can't say that it's definitely true, that some people have messaged Black Widow on Facebook and were able to purchase open stock pencils directly through that method. The problem is, if too many people do it, it might end up that that they stop offering that service. So I don't know, but if you've got your favourite colour and you desperately need it, then maybe it's worth emailing. They can only say no. My pencil's got a few bits on it, there we go. All I'm doing here, by the way, is doing colouring over, obviously. I'm trying to do a little more over the darker area and fade slightly towards the top. Not worrying too much because we're going to add more layers of colour. I don't really want the pot to be much darker. Obviously the shadowy areas will be, but I don't want the pot itself to be much darker because I think it's quite a nice warm colour. I wanted it to look a little bit like dark honey, but so that the honey would show up. I think it looks a bit like a wooden pot really, but I don't want it to look like it's wood, so I'm not going to draw a wood grain on there. And you could do it as a see-through pot, but then it gets really tricky with these. What you do, how do you make that look different to the honey that's inside? So I'm thinking I might do the label in a darker brown, maybe? Have a think. Now the top of each of the sort of coils, I'd quite like to stand out a little. I'm just looking at my colours. I have this one called Dark Tan, which I think might work. Oops. It's a little bit lighter than the Foxy Brown, but not as light as the Mustard or the Stinkbug. So it's somewhere in between, so I think it could work quite nicely. Give it a sharpen. So as I say, Dark Tan, and this is from the Cobra set. I know it's a little bit confusing going from set to set, but I'm going to go over all of it, I think, with this. I think it will help to smush it together and brighten it. Don't press too hard though. At this stage we have still got more layers to go. So don't burnish down and push hard, just add another light layer. Yes, they're sort of meant to build on each other, but the first set, the spider set, are quite good because they've got a good mix. They've got every colour. They've got a few extra greens and a few extra browns, which for us, anyone who likes botanical colouring will find extremely useful. But the other sets are a little bit more random in where they're heavier in colours. The Cobra set is heavy on greens as well, which is really good, but hasn't got many browns, you see, or blue. There's a few blues. It's only got one purple. In fact, so has the Black Widow set. But no, that's the Scorpion set. The Cobra set's got lots of purple. The Scorpion set's got lots of green. So it's worth, if you're thinking of buying them, make sure you have a look and see what comes in each set. Some of them are quite similar to each other, some of them are very different. Think about what you use and what you like when you choose. It's not for me to say this one's the best. It depends what you use. If you find your greens are always the shortest, then getting a set with lots of greens would make sense. But if you find your purples are always the shortest, then that's those that you need. Now I've done that, you can't see so much difference between the colours. So I'm going to go back in with the Tarantula and just make the areas at the bottom a little bit darker, just so we can really see the difference. But I'm going to try and fade that up so that it blends in still. You don't want just a dark line for this. This is just supposed to be just a gentle blend. It's a little trickier in those smaller gaps, but you can do it. That bit looks like it needs a bit more tan. I'm just going to grab my dark tan because it looks to me like a few of these areas need a bit more. Just where I can see more white paper than I was hoping for. I don't know whether I just missed that bit. I don't think so. Okay, so back to the Tarantula. I hope that wasn't too blurred. It's always a bit tricky because I can only see on the little screen of my camera. It's teeny tiny, it's small on a phone screen. Well, it's not small on my phone screen, but I've got a dumb phone, so the screen is teeny. But so it's hard for me to quite make out what the picture's like. And I know I often go blurred because I put my great clumping hand in front of the camera. But sorry. Right. Now that is looking pleasing to me. It's what I wanted. Now I want to put in this shadow that I've been talking about. I've got a couple of choices. What colour's that? We've got a dark chocolate, which we could use for shadow. We have got the we've got the Huntsman, which is a dark brown. You can see them there. Or we could use the flat black. I'm thinking not the black. I'm thinking a dark brown, and I'm going to make a choice in a really silly way. This one has got a lovely point, so I'm going to use it. Okay, hang on. Ooh, sorry. It's my remote control getting in my way as always. So dark chocolate, and we're going to use it for our shadow. So think just under this line, there and here, all the way down to start with. It's my parents' wedding anniversary today. Well, on the day I'm recording this, not on the day the video goes out. But I gave them a ring. They're going off to a little Cotswold village, Bolton on the Water. It's my mum's favourite place to go. It's got a bit of a journey. And they're going to there's a model village there which we're going to. shadow under here. And which I remember going, they've got my dad's sisters are staying with them at the minute, and I remember going to Bourton on the Water and to that model village with them when they visited when I was 7 maybe. But my aunt's got her new companion with her who's never been to England. They've come over, she lives in Australia, so it's something new for him to see, so I think it's rather fun. And don't forget to do under and around the label. I'm not going to do the top, just the sides like that. We could do a little bit underneath as well, just casting a little shadow just around it, just a tiny bit. Right, now the label. I've been thinking, I had thought dark brown to sort of set the wings off a little bit, and I think I will, but I'm going to do it lightly. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you will see exactly what I mean as I go. So I'm using the dark chocolate, but I'm going to use it really gently. So I'm going to hold the pencil quite near the end and at a flat angle rather than straight down, nice and flat, and that helps me get a light layer. I'm just going to put a really light layer across. I may decide I want it darker, but it's a way that I can just see how it looks and make a decision on it. I think I want to put another layer on. It'd be quite nice to make it look like a sort of craft paper, but I cannot work out how to get that colour. So I'm just going to put a second layer and a few more layers of this just until I'm happy, and then I'm going to put a slightly darker colour on top. I'm just choosing now. I don't want it to stand out from the background, so maybe the Tarantula, because that's still fairly dark. Let's see if we can catch it in the light for you. There we go. Without being overpowering, just mix that in a little bit. Yeah. Go. Now a little trick, if you want that to look more solid like the background, like the pot is, without having to put any more colour down and make it any darker, you can go over with a lighter brown, but it will change the colour. What I'm going to do is use a blending pencil. I'm just going to try and find one. I know the Prisma works. I've got a Caran d'Ache here. I just found it on the floor the other day, which was a bit of a bonus, but it doesn't work with all pencils, so I'm not going to try it. This is the Prismacolor Blender, you can see, and I've sharpened it, and I'm just going to use that, and it will actually burnish it down a little bit into the paper without changing the colour, and mix those two browns together so I don't have to layer it up anymore. And you can decide how much white paper you want showing. Because it's paper, you know, it's a label. Maybe it is paper, maybe it needs a little bit showing, maybe it doesn't. Have a think about how you feel with your picture. So there is that. I'm just going to sweep it off, and we're going to do some white bits, and make sure I grab the right pen. I have got a, there we go. I've got a sparkly pen there, that's not what I want for this. So it's a Gellyroll 08, and I'm going to put a little bit, actually I'm just going to move some pencils out of my way. It's quite a pile, so I need to put my arm on the desk. Put a little bit along here. Now, to make it look a bit more shiny, I'm not going to go over the black of the edge of the spoon, or else it might just disappear into the page. I'm just trying to go along that edge. I did miss, there's a bit on the black, like that. Just to try and make a bit of shine. It doesn't seem to want to write very well. There we go. It's quite hard to see. Now on the drips I want a bit of a shine. I have to decide on a side. Now because we put the shine on the right hand side of the spoon, it would make sense to put it on the right hand side of the honey drips. I don't know whether this is really going to show up very much because of them being yellow, but I just want to put a little bit on there. There we go. So I think that is probably done. So that was fun. I absolutely love colouring this in. I remembered when I did it on the last book, because on my other copy of the book, and I had such fun. But I just wanted to pop this one in today because I've just finished a mini series. I've got a big series coming up, so I thought having a one-day little video in would just fill that little gap. And I picked this picture. I've been really looking forward to doing it, and because I just love colouring with warm colours. So I hope that was okay. If you don't have the Black Widows, there are lots of browns. If you've got the Ergo Soft, there are lots of browns and yellows which would work really well instead. You know, use all the browns, use all the yellows, and you could probably get something like that on the greys as well. But anyway, that's me. So thank you for watching. I hope that was okay. I hope that was fun. I hope you're not all craving honey now. Honey on toast. That's what my son has for lunch. Yum. Anyway, have a lovely, lovely day, and hope to see you tomorrow. Not see you. Probably won't see you. You won't see me. You might see my hand. There we go. Hope you hear me tomorrow. Anyway, happy colouring.